welcome everybody to the SmallTown Collectibles YouTube channel. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr. My guest today is a guy that I really got to know through one of my fellow usual suspects, Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. We actually had him on the show that we do on Gary B's channel, In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects. And I'd followed him already, had been kind of watching some of his videos, but once I really got a chance to sit down and talk to him, I knew that I had to have him on 10 questions to kind of dive in a little more and give it this spin. So if you watch his channel, you're going to see a lot of different content, a lot of first appearance videos, New Comic Book Day, Marvel, Star Wars. You're going to see the talks on indie comics, the Grail series, and you're going to hear a whole lot of talk about Star Wars. And maybe most importantly is these infamous marathon hangout sessions on Saturdays with the Spine Ticks crew. Everybody join me in welcoming to 10 Questions, SithLordly, the host and purveyor of the Spine Ticks YouTube channel.
Oh, man, I love that purveyor. Jimmy, man, thanks so much for having me on, bro. I really appreciate it. It was great to get to know you with the usual suspects. And, here I am on your channel, man. Thanks so much.
Oh, no, I'm really excited to talk to you. Like I said, I watched your channel before. Like, it's pretty much like everybody. You get to know everybody in the community, right? So you want to support everybody. And I found myself coming back to your channel more and more. I was interested in some of the content that you were putting out. I like to pop in on that Sunday or the Saturday chat, the hangout from time to time to hear what you boys are chatting about. I always kind of enjoy that. So let's jump right into this thing. And the first question, Sith, is pretty much the same for everybody, and that is, what or who got you into collecting?
Man, well, I'm older than I look, and I started collecting, I want to say 1982, and it might have been earlier, but, I specifically remember a G.I. Joe #2.
Yeah,
I have a vivid memory, man, and I always loved superheroes, cartoons, like all of us. We'd watch the cartoons, have the toys, the movies, but I remember G.I. Joe being huge. Uncanny X-Men, Amazing Spider-Man. As much as I do like DC now, and I go back and buy Bronze Age DC comics, it was all Marvel for me back in the day, and just kicking it with my buddies. We're bicycling or skateboarding to the LCS and picking up some books.
No, look, did you have anybody in your family, like a family member, aunt, uncle, dad, mom, anybody that collected?
No, unfortunately not. But I had a great circle of friends. Parents are very supportive. They always provided toys and other things. I think, I'm trying to remember if it was more like baseball cards is what they provided than comic books, but they allowed me to do it.
Well, I think, we're a similar age, so I think it's funny. Baseball cards for me was a big thing.
Yeah.
I talk about my uncle a lot, and he sold ball cards and comic books and things like that, and I used to hang around a lot with him. But, ball cards really were kind of the gateway to the collecting, I guess, for me. Comic books were always there to kind of read, but didn't necessarily collect a ton. Really it was ball cards that kind of really, I guess, lit the flame of the collector.
Yeah, I'm doing 50-50 right now. I'm heavily into sports cards. And it's, let alone baseball, hockey, football, basketball. And then, you try and split that with comic books and toys. It gets very expensive. But I say if I had all those cards back when I was a kid, but I probably, they're probably not in great condition because you're handling them, they're bent, things like that.
No, and cards these days, man, are so expensive. I said, that's what I had I think it was last week, Comic Book Investments was on, and we were talking about it. And I said, when I was a kid, you could go buy a pack of basketball cards for $1. And now in a box, you could pay $36 and get a full box of them.
Yeah.
Now you can't buy, if you're talking the high end stuff, you're talking $3,000 just for a box. Oh, yeah. It has like 10 cards in it.
Right. And a chance to hit, right? Maybe you get an autograph and it's not even the player that you want. You're almost better off buying the card that you want on eBay, buying the exact card than to, but I will have to say ripping the cellophane is addicting. And
it is.
I still, now what I do is on Wednesdays, I go to the LCS, pick up my comic books, and right across the street is the sports card shop. And I go in and buy some packs there. So I have something to rip.
Well, my LCS is, kind of multi-purpose, right? They have toys, but they have a really huge sports card section. And they've got the comic book stuff all in the back where you can go, back, bend, dive, and all that. And it's really kind of tying those two worlds together for me because I collect ball cards too. But I think you and I talked about this. I strictly collect Kentucky, like Kentucky basketball players. There's, what's it called? It's in their collegiate uniforms. I forget what it's called, but anyway, they're in their collegiate forms. I like to collect the autos, those guys, and then I try to grab the rookies once they, actually get in the NBA. So we'll dive into that a little more here in just a second because I actually just something came to me and I just wrote it down that I want to talk to you about on the sports card side of things.
Nice.
And I think it could be an interesting conversation. So question 2 is now, as far as your comics go, now, are you a reader or do you collect? Like I'm a reader who collects. So do you read a lot?
That's a great way to put it. I am a reader who collects. I would have to say running a YouTube channel, very well because you put out the list. My reading has changed because, now Wednesday through Saturday, if you want to count Tuesday for DC, I'm reading like 40, 50 books to be able to present on Spine Ticks on Saturday. If I didn't have the YouTube channel, I would probably be reading all those Bronze Age books that take like 30, 40 minutes to read one comic because it's so full with dialogue. But always have been a reader. I love the read, but I am a collector. So, I want to collect runs. I want to collect, I have a reading pile of stuff that I'm collecting, but haven't gotten to yet.
Right. I think every comic book collector has that pile. Like if I turn this camera around, you'd see this massive pile sitting over here and stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. And the thing is what normally happens to me is a series will build up and then, that you'll get a story arc done. And then that's usually when I grab it and read it. Like I've told people before, I really probably need to be a trade collector. Mm-hmm. I just don't think that's as much fun. I like collecting the floppies but it generally seems like I'll check and say, okay, is this arc done? And then I'll pick it up and start reading it. And I get into where like you and I both do these lists. Like I do the first appearances and key issues. So I'm trying to read all those, right? Yeah. So that I know what I'm talking about, after I put it out, if it comes up and somebody says, hey, I got a question on this book, I'll be able to answer it. So you're doing that same thing. So you're reading all those books for Saturday.
Man, I am reading like 40 something books. And, I had somebody say to me, hey, why don't you delegate some of this? But because I'm the host of my own channel, right? I want to know what I'm talking about. And just like you said, someone might ask me, I might be on a show like this where someone asks me and I put it all on slides. So the nice thing is I can go back into my Google Drive and bring up the slide for the week and it's charted right there. First appearance. And I can remember just muscle memory of, oh yeah, I read it. I took a snapshot of it. I put the slide up there. I would say, I'm reading heavily. Most of it is for the show and not all of it is maybe what I want to read, but I got to stay current to present the information to the audience.
Right. No, that makes total sense. And I find myself at times wanting to go back and read, like you said, it is, you can sit down and knock out a comic book right now in if you really go at it, maybe 7 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on how wordy it is. And you go back and try to read like a Bronze Age, like an older book, man, and it legit will take a half hour to read it because there's so much dialogue.
Yeah, I actually tried to read Marvel in order from 1962 Fantastic Four. I was trying to read, and I think I got to 1966, and I was like, oh man, this is going to take forever. And I was enjoying it, but that was long before I had the YouTube show. And, even before I had the YouTube show, I had decided, hey, 1980, January would be a great place to start. Let me buy every book in the order it came out. January 1980, February 1980, March 1980. And I almost have the full year of every Marvel book. And I was doing DC too. But of course, that project went away once, you're doing the YouTube channel with lists.
Right. No, you're right, though. That is something. It's just funny to hear somebody else say that because I try to do that same thing because you really do. When you're doing YouTube and, not that I don't consider myself an expert on anything, except for buying houses, mortgage lending. I consider that's my profession. So I consider myself an expert on that. But a lot of times people ask, hey, what are you reading? They find out you have a YouTube channel. What are you reading? What's good? And you want to be able to tell them, hey, steer away from this. Yeah. So, and like you said, you guys do that marathon session, and you guys cover just about everything. I mean, so it's pretty cool. So I want to go question 3, and I find this interesting because Lady Sith into the hobby as well, or is she a collector?
She we click really well because she is into this nerd culture. She started with like pops and stuff like that, but as I really got into YouTube and comics, Lady Sith now has 2 short boxes of comics. I mean, like no joke, like a Gemini mailer will arrive, and I'm like, oh yeah, what did I get today? It says, Lady Sith. I'm like, she's got her own comics, but like anything in relationships or marriage, it's all ours anyway.
Right. Well, of course, as I always say, what's hers is hers, and what's mine is hers. That's
There you go.
that's my dad told me live by those words, and you'll have a happy marriage. And so, no, I want to ask: did you guys, when you met, were you both like nerding out like that? Was that something that brought you together?
This is a funny story. Okay, I always like to say this for shock value. I met Lady Sith on Craigslist. And then I usually like leave it there and people are like, what? But we're both musicians, and she's a singer and a drummer, and I do it all except drumming. And it was around the time when I was, I love to drink beer, as you may know. And I was like, I was kind of tired of being the main guy. So I thought, well, Lady Sith's 17 years younger than I am. I said, here's this very attractive, nice young lady. Why don't I have her up front and I can just kind of kick back and do everything from behind the scenes? So our relationship started around music and band. But as we got to know each other, and we were just friends back then, we started developing a relationship and found out that she loves Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that was one of the earliest movies that we saw together. And she loved all these Marvel movies, Star Wars. And then she saw all the things I was collecting. And then she got more into it. She used to work at Hot Topic. So she has all these exclusive pops and things. So I just got really lucky finding a lady who she's like, hey, when can we go to these conventions? Right. She's dragging me to them.
Right.
So yeah, I lucked out.
Well, no, that's cool. Like I talk a lot about Amy, my wife. She has zero interest in any of this. Okay. I mean, like zero.
Yeah.
And I mean, she'll watch the movies with me. Like she's a good sport. Like she'll watch the movies with me. She's very supportive. If we're out shopping, if they go shopping, if I want to hit the comic book store up, they're like, absolutely, come on. And they'll go in and peruse and go through. But no, I always find that interesting if couples collect together, kind of how that is with the relationship. Like, are there times that you want something and she'll buy it first and then she claims it as hers?
Well, yeah, I mean, she has like these Marvel Legends figures that are arriving. Like she loves WandaVision. We both loved WandaVision, but like all this WandaVision stuff started arriving. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I don't have to buy that Marvel Legends figure now because she went ahead and did it. Her big purchase was, we're both into these Hot Toys and Sideshow collectibles. She dropped what I would consider like a car down payment on a Salacious Crumb statue from Return of the Jedi, the little dude who sits in Jabba the Hutt's, and she made a post about it, like, hey, I just got this thing. I was like, how much was that? Like it was insane that she bought it. But again, I'm just so thankful that she's into what I'm into.
That's cool, man. No, that's cool. I mean, I think it's cool. It would be cool to me if Amy, or even if one of my girls were really into it. My baby, she's not a baby anymore. She's 13, but she has it in her. She has the collector in her, but she collects these things called mushmallows. So, but like she'll call me, hey dad, Walgreens just dropped a new mushmallow. I need you to stop and grab it. I want this color. Like, it's in her.
Nice.
Yeah. To be a collector. All right. So question 4 is I want to talk about your YouTube channel. And I always like to find out why people start their YouTube channels to begin with. Like, what led you to even jump into this community?
Well, as I might have mentioned on Gary B's channel, right, I've always been in entertainment. And although I'm not anymore, I've always been, on a stage or working in a music business or in a band. And, I kind of latched on with some of these shows, YouTube shows. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with TiVo from Lords of the Long Box.
Yeah, sure.
So, he and I met through Craigslist again when I was unloading some comics back in 2015. And the only reason I'm even on Instagram is because TiVo told me, hey, come to Instagram. There's a whole comic book community. And I was shocked. I thought it was all like lady selfies and food pictures. So, of course, I started hanging around his YouTube channel, and then he made me a moderator. And because, he's got a huge channel and I was a moderator, I started getting to know a lot of people, other big channels like Pressable Defects, them. And as I was hanging around, I was thinking, well, I love what they're doing. I love the hobby. And, this is something I could do as well. So that gave me the impetus to start a YouTube channel, and wherever you want me to go from there, I can give you details. But that was kind of the reason why I wanted to get into it and kind of get in front of the mic and just share my comic journey.
Cool. Or do you find any similarities between like what you did in the music business as far as being like a front man and that kind of thing and kind of being the host on a YouTube channel?
Oh, 100%. I mean, on Spine Ticks, I've got all these segments, right? And the way I look at it is almost like I'm producing a TV show, right? We got the comic book segments. We got your favorite subject, the Hallmark segment. We've got a horror film segment called Terror Ticks. So when I'm producing it, I'm thinking about as an entertainer, and being the host and MC, it's great because when I used to play at bars, I would have to stand on stage and, 45. Now I could just sit in a chair and do the same thing. And instead of sing, I'm just, drinking beer and talking. So it's like, it's easier.
Right. Right. So the Sunday, or I keep saying Sunday, the Saturday hangout, like how did that start? Was that something that you just, as soon as you started, you were like, okay, I want to do this hangout? Because didn't you just get nominated for an award? I know there was a fellow YouTuber that was doing some awards. And I
Yeah.
think, as far as community building, Spine Ticks was one of the channels that got nominated. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And but like, what was the inspiration behind doing that?
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, I created the SithLordly account. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have a SithLordly YouTube channel. But then, about a year in, I said, I want to put together, I like a live show. A live show is fun, kind of like what you guys do with the usual suspects. So I said, let me create a separate channel called Spine Ticks. And I like the name because, whenever you're watching a comic book show and they're showing books, they say, 3 spine ticks. It's good marketing. And I looked around the community and I said, well, I know I'm going to host this, but I want to have some guys with me. And I picked 3 other guys in the community that I didn't really know outside of just being in YouTube chats. And one of them was in Kentucky, actually, my ancestral home. But
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Yeah, for sure. So I picked these 3 guys from different parts of the country, and I said, let's do the show, and I was the host, and they were like panelists, if you will. And we figured out a time. We wanted to, it was important to us to, because I love the community. I don't want to stomp on anyone's schedule. So it just happened that Saturday at 8 p.m. Pacific was free, right? There might be auctions or things like that, but there was no like shows going on at that time. So that kind of became the slot, and it started as a 1-hour show. Like if you go way back, it's like, hi, I'm SithLordly. Here's the comic book I bought today. Let's go around the room. It was very tame and family friendly. And about 4 or 5 episodes in, when I started inviting guests from around YouTube and we started drinking, I mean, it became like 4 hours, not family friendly anymore. I got to put an adult rating on the show.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, really, an hour and family friendly like that.
Right.
It is a hoot. Like, it's a lot of fun to watch. And I know one of the guys on there is T. Ravis is here from Kentucky. And
Yeah.
I really like that guy. I kind of found him early. We share that common Big Blue Nation bond. And, but no, so really, it was some guys that you were talking to in the chats, you pulled them together, and then it just evolved into what it is.
Yeah, basically the channel was really just the live show. What I'm doing now, I'm actually doing a lot more pre-recorded content, like you had mentioned, the Grail series, but that stuff kind of came later. I kind of barnstormed out with a live show, and most of my content was just live show stuff for probably 3-4 months. And then, guys like Gary B, showing killer hauls every day. I was like, okay, I need to do some hauls because I'm getting all these great books, and Instagram is a great place to do it. But, I want to do some videos too. I started posting a lot of hauls on my SithLordly channel. So I had 2 channels. One seemed to be live show only, and one seemed to be my whatever else. But I got tired of managing 2 separate channels.
Sure.
And it was kind of confusing too, because people they would see Spine Ticks in the chat and they'd say, well, which one is it? It's me, but they don't know. Right. So I kind of had to redo my branding a bit. So I've kind of folded my SithLordly channel in terms of making content, and everything I'm doing is now on Spine Ticks. So I'm just kind of putting all my efforts on that channel.
So you just recently hit 1,000 subs too, right?
For the 3rd time.
For the 3rd time? Yeah, you got to love how YouTube does that, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, it was like literally it happened on a live show. Everyone's congratulating me. And then, 10 subs gone. And then I hit it again, 10 subs gone. And so I've got a great giveaway coming up, but I don't want to do it until I get about 1,020 or something, because nobody wants to be, the guy, the schlep who does a 1,000 giveaway and the next week he's down to 990 again.
Right. No, and it is crazy how that happens. And I guess they say that they clear bots and different things. Like if I get a big run, like when I announced my 1,000 subscriber giveaway, I got a big run on subs, right? Well, I hit a point that I literally went from, I think I was at 920 something, and it went back and forth like to 930, back to 920, to 930, back to 920. Like it did that for like, what? Do you know why that happens?
I wish I did. I from what I've heard is bots. Lady Sith follows a lot of Disney channels, and she had kind of speculated that because 1,000 is kind of like a magic number, monetization and other things, that maybe YouTube is a little bit more strict, when hitting that benchmark. I don't know scientifically, but every day I'm looking at, I'm like, okay, 1,009, it's holding, and I want to get to about 1,020 so I can give out these great slabs.
Absolutely. So I just want to ask you this since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Like, there was a time frame, especially early on, where I literally checked my sub count 25 times a day. I mean, like it was, okay, I got 100 subs. Oh, cool. Do I have 101? Like, did you go through anything similar to that? Are you still going through it?
It's funny because I'm not. I'm very organic about it because, to me, this whole thing has just been super fun, and I'm not going to monetize the channel or anything. I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost like hitting stats like a baseball player, right? Like hitting 500 home runs or something. But in terms of, using those subs for something else, I kind of took an easy pace. It was more probably because I wanted to do giveaways, but I wanted to make sure that the right people were winning them. Like you said, when you do an announcement, you get a run on subs, and sometimes they're professional contest winners.
Sure.
I mean, I've had people win stuff from the live show that I'd never seen them again. And I wanted to make sure that, the people who support me day in and day out, they get a chance to win. So I have really done almost no 1,000 sub announcements at all, because I know if I do, it's going to just flood in, and people are going to win stuff, and then that's it. They're gone.
Well, I think that's interesting because I was, I don't know, I call myself cheap, but I would never do a giveaway. And like I did when I got to 500, I did, like a slab. And when I would do a giveaway, I would do it through Gary B's Grow Together initiative. I would shout out channels, and then if everybody hit their sub goals, then I would give something away. And like it was almost unhealthy at one point how much I checked it. Like it was almost like I preached to my kids about likes are not love, and subs in this case are not love. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is stupid. And I just really kind of quit paying attention to it until I broke 800. And once I broke 800, I was like, all right, I want this 1,000 subs. Like this was my goal.
Yeah.
100 was my first goal, and 1,000 was my second. Like I want this. And so I've been pushing for it. But I think what you said is the organic nature of growing your channel so that the right people who are truly into your content, are the people and that support you and support your channel are the ones that are getting those giveaways. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you put it great. That's exactly how I like to look at it. It's funny because, we have an Instagram life too. And my Instagram in comparison to my YouTube is fivefold. But I've never done any sort of giveaway or like I don't even really trumpet when I hit another 1,000 or whatever on Instagram. I kind of keep it quiet and humble, but I do look at those numbers. It's fun, But yeah, I mean, I get so many follows. I'm sure as you do on Instagram, you're like, who are these people? They just want me to follow them back, and then they unfollow me, kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, as you approach that 1,000, it gets exciting, and I'm really impressed with how quickly. I mean, like your counts are just going way up.
Well, I've been blessed, I said, to fall into a community of people, and I include you in that. Like,
Thanks.
Somebody that I met that I would have never met before. I would have never met you. Like, we would have never crossed paths in probably real life. And if we had, we probably wouldn't have spoke to each other. We might have. I don't know. We seem like we'd get along. But
if comic books came up, maybe.
Yeah. But, I mean, as far as I'm very blessed, and I've been blessed for people to like what I do. Especially with 10 questions, that's really the thing that kind of carries the channel. And I think with you, just like the hangout and that community aspect of what you do and how you embrace the community aspect of it.
Nice.
We were talking about Nick's Kicks and Comics, and that was one thing I really realized about Nick. Is he said he was looking for his thing. Like, where does he fit into this? And I was like, dude, you're a community guy. You're like, it's really important to him. And as we did 10 questions, we kind of realized that, hey, you're a community guy. And that's really how I see Sith and SpineTix. It's just this awesome community of cool people, nerding out, talking, comic books. Like, I love it.
I appreciate it, man. It's not going to be complete till you come on, though, man.
The Don will show up on SpineTix. He will make his. I was told DJ Links and I were talking. It's funny. Yesterday we chat back and forth, and I was said, I really want to come hang out. Like, I want to. They do these Friday hangouts over on Legion's channel, and then it'll drop over to Nick's, right? And even like SpineTix, like, I would love to come and sit and hang out with you guys, but my real life just doesn't allow it right now. It's work is crazy, and then I work so much that when I'm not working, I need to spend time with my family, and they don't necessarily understand that I want to come jump on and hang out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's hard, but I told Amy, because yours came up, we were talking about you, and I said, I want to go on SpineTix. Like, that is a goal for me. Like, one, I want a SpineTix t-shirt, and two, I want to go hang out on SpineTix. And so hopefully I'll be able to jump on there at some point.
Well, you look like a pretty buff and big guy. I might have a shirt that's in your size because all the mediums and larges are gone.
I'm a 2X guy all the way.
I think I might even have one. So I'm going to go check. And if I do, it's in the mail to you.
Oh, you're the man. I'll send you some cash for it, whatever you need, my brother.
No, bro. It's all. And you got to bring Gary B, man, because the very first time Gary B finally made it on a Saturday night show, I had a wild guy come on the show. You might have heard of him. His name's The Butcher.
The Butcher. I watched it.
Yeah, and then the channel, like, I had to take down the stream because it got so crazy. But it worked in my favor because everybody wanted to see the band episode, so I released clips, of it, and it generated more interest.
That's awesome. No, that was crazy. Like, I watched it. Yeah, I always try to support Gary B or, and Slot when he was doing it, on the channels. And that's been, as we call ourselves, the usual suspects. And that's one of the things I always say. You got to find your usual suspects. You got to find your SpineTix. You got to find those people, and it makes this journey and the comic book journey just so much more fun. So I want to get into this because this is one of the things we talked about on Gary B's channel on In the Hot Seat that I really found interesting about you, and it has nothing to do with comic books really. And that was the whole genealogy thing, because Sith and I could be like 20th cousins. His people, hail from Kentucky apparently. And, he's an honorary Big Blue Nation member. But talk about genealogy and like where that passion came from.
Yeah, well, I've always wondered about my family history because my father, whose mother was born in Kentucky, they were estranged. Like, we didn't even know the real story, if she ran out or if his father divorced her. But by like age 2, his mother was out of the picture. And his own father, my grandfather, died when my dad was 14. So everything on my dad's side, we knew nothing about. And on my mom's side, they're Japanese and I can't speak the language. So you're talking about a man who wants to know his roots. And I've always loved history and I've always loved American history. Like, I was blessed to have some great teachers in high school who got me excited about, the founding of the country and everything like that. So I'm good with computers. My work is in IT. And I would always ask my dad, tell me what you know about my grandmother. Well, we know she's from Kentucky. She had red hair. Well, it turns out that later in life, she ended up in like a senior center where like a family was caring for her, using her Social Security check to care for her in Kentucky, in Louisville. And after forever many years, they got in touch with my dad and said, your mother is still alive. And she might have a few years left. She was later in age. So my dad flew out to Kentucky, met up with her, but they never knew each other. So it's not like they became really close, but I got to talk to her on the phone one time and that meant everything to me. And she wrote down a whole list of, this is her father and kind of a short lineage. And I couldn't really do much with it until Ancestry and things got a little bit better. So around 2015, 2016, all these records kind of improved for a guy like me out in Southern California trying to find out about Kentucky. And I got really lucky to find a first cousin who was my grandmother's generation. So it'd be my first cousin 2 times removed. And he was the family historian. And he was born in Kentucky, but lived in Texas. And boy, did we connect up. I flew to Texas. We hung out and I learned so much about the family. And next thing you know, I can go way back. I mean, like, just like CGC will verify your comic books, there are societies that will verify your lineage to make sure it's correct, right? You could say, yeah, my cousin was George Washington or whatever, but when you get a third party to give it a stamp of approval, it makes you feel better. So I actually brought something here. I think I showed this on Gary B's. This is my 8th great grandfather, Dr. Thomas Walker. He explored Kentucky before Daniel Boone. He named such things as Cumberland Gap. There's a high school in Kentucky named after him. He was involved in the American Revolution. And I mean, like, I never knew this stuff existed and that I descend from this guy. Or, like this book here that's been around since the 60s. Colonel Joshua Fry was George Washington's commanding officer in the French and Indian War. Another one of my ancestors. Only because, unfortunately, he died in battle, was George Washington promoted to colonel of the Virginia Regiment, and then the rest is history. Right. But my father's name is in this book. So it's like we're sitting here wondering all our lives about where do we come from, and it's like I just had to buy this dang book for $150 on eBay, and there you go.
And there you go. Well, it was one of the things that you talked about because I have a similar interest. And it was, again, it kind of came back to the uncle that was in the hobby. We hung out a lot. Me and my uncle talked a lot, and it was my dad's brother. And so we were together all the time. We hung out a lot. Well, he was really into the genealogy as well. And he was able to trace us back to Germany, like, wow. I mean, many, many generations ago. And that's something when he passed that he left to me. And he, basically told me, I hope that you'll continue the search, like as far as trying to really go back and those third-party verifications that you're talking about. We've had those done. It's, it's really cool, man. And it was something that, so really your interest in it came from, it was the fact that your dad just didn't really know his family, and that kind of sparked it. Is that what sparked it for you, really?
Yeah. I mean, it was a combination of wanting to know, being patriotic and hearing that, like, it was funny because my father thought that we came from the Mayflower when in fact we actually descended from Jamestown, Virginia settlers. So, when I moved into this condo, the first thing I did was put up portraits of the founding fathers, and then come to find out that George Washington's like a 4th cousin, Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone, right? They're all cousins. And so, yeah, I mean, for me, and if I'm hopefully blessed to have children with Lady Sith next year, want to continue on the bloodline and, and she's got a very interesting lineage herself. So yeah, family, all that stuff. It's all very important to me.
That's awesome, man. No, I just, when you talked about that, that was just like, it never left me. And I always thought about that. I was like, because I really dig that stuff too. And I just think it's interesting. And I like history. Like I said, I like to read, and I read a lot more than just comic books. I enjoy reading about history and things like that. And I guess the genealogy just kind of went along with that. My uncle was so passionate about it, as far as really just wanting to find it. He went on both sides. Like he went, my grandmother and my grandfather, he went down both lines. Like it's crazy. And it's insanely interesting, really, once you get into it and you find out all these people that you were related to.
Yeah, I mean, my ancestry tree has got about 25,000 names in it. I mean, there was I even replaced all the time I did bands and things like that with this genealogy work. And what's fun is when these like comic books with some sort of a historical feature comes out, I always kind of work in a Sith history moment with it. So, like the Two Moons comic book about the Civil War.
Sure.
There will be a slide after the comic book that shows a little history lesson or something like that. So, I always like those historical moments that tie in with comic books. It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. No, I totally dig that. And I wanted to talk a little more about that with you on this because I found it so interesting when we talked about it on the hot seat. So question 6 is a little more light. And I just wanted to know where the love for Star Wars came from. Like SithLordly, the whole name, right. Like what was it and when did it start?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm older than I look. So, although I was a very small child, I was taken to see Star Wars in 1977 at the Chinese Theater in LA. I remember being there. I don't remember too much about it. I just remember being out there out front. If you look at my family photo albums, it's Star Wars toys, for every Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Halloween costumes. It's always been Star Wars. I remember bugging my mom, we got to go to, Kmart, Toys R Us, we got to get Star Wars figures. And not just the movies, but I mean, I got a bookshelf full of like over 100 Star Wars expanded universe novels, before Disney came and took over.
Sure.
And altered the timeline, as I like to say. So, when I was starting Instagram, I was like, well, I need a name. What should I get? And SithLordly just kind of came to mind. It was kind of like, I don't know, like to be lordly. It just kind of sounded like, to be good, but then you SithLordly, like it's like a contradiction in terms. And Lady Sith went to Disneyland and got me a name tag that says SithLordly in like Star Wars Aberesh language. So that was cool. And now she's Lady SithLordly. So
you gotta love it, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a movie for you out of the Star Wars franchise that stands out to you the most? Like, what's the go-to?
Yeah, I mean, Empire Strikes Back to me is the pinnacle, right?
Mine too.
I do like the dark movies, and of course the original trilogy. I love the prequels, man, because I love Qui-Gon Jinn is probably my favorite Jedi. Young Obi-Wan. I even liked Anakin. I even have a Jar Jar shirt. I mean, I know he's kind of the butt of jokes, but you know what I mean? Like, I can respect all Star Wars, but I prefer the traditional Star Wars more than the Disney trilogy that came out in the theaters.
Have you been to Disney since they opened up the Star Wars part of Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, well, so I have an annual pass. They finally opened up that program again. So Lady Sith and I are only 20 miles from Disneyland. I proposed to her at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge on day 2 of them opening. What I did was I had a holocron, if that's kind of like a Jedi or Sith artifact, and I had one 3D printed with a hollow area so I could put the ring. And we walked into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I told her, hey, I'm going to be making a haul video for Instagram, so just go with it. So, and then her parents knew, of course, so they were with us. Her parents, by the way, watched Spine Ticks, so shout out to Alan and Carla.
Shout out to Alan and Carla, yeah.
Yeah, so they're filming us, right? And I'm talking about Star Wars lore and what did we get today, and then I pull out this holocron, and I'm talking about it, and then I get all very serious about it, and then I get on one knee at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And she's like, cause she want to get married. We both want to get married, but she was like, hey, all my friends are getting married. When's this happening? And before you know it, I turn around, there's a whole crowd of people just watching us. And it was a wonderful moment, man.
That's awesome. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. So the one in LA, like I was just in the one in Florida back in March. No.
Oh, Disney World over there?
Disney World, yeah. And like, my wife said, if you could have seen your face when I saw the life-size Millennium Falcon,
yeah,
dude, I about passed out. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is the coolest thing ever. Cause I thought Han Solo was like the coolest dude that ever walked. And the Millennium Falcon was I forget which one it was, if it was like Rogue One or it might've been the newest. Anyway, they bring the Millennium Falcon in, and with the way CGI is today and the way it looks so real. I was like, oh my goodness. Like Star Wars is one of those things for me. I can remember watching Empire Strikes Back in the movie theater as a kid. I remember watching Return of the Jedi, and that was, Star Wars still to me is a big part of who I am. Like, I love Star Wars. Like, I don't care if it comes on, what it is, I watch it. Of the new movies, like, you got Solo, Rogue One, you got those movies. Which one of those do you dig?
Well, I like Solo. Well, actually, I'd say I like Rogue One because it doesn't disrupt the timeline too much, right? I still this expanded universe. When you're a guy like me, you've been collecting all your life and you read 100 novels and role-playing games and, video games. And then those not to mention the Dark Horse comic books, right? Sure. I mean, I got 6 boxes of that. All of that weaved together in a tapestry, a story. And then, Disney came in and kind of said, hey, reboot. So, right. I have to kind of have a head canon now. Like, this is canon and this is canon. It's separate, like a Flashpoint or something. But yeah, I'd say Rogue One. Now, I really liked Kylo Ren. I thought he was kind of cool.
Yeah, I did too.
But I loved Han Solo. I mean, he was awesome. And I would have preferred he had a different ending than the one that they portrayed in the movies. Because as I'm reading these novels, and I'm still reading the novels that were written in the early 2000s, he's got ongoing stories. So it's kind of like in the movie he's dead, but in the book he's still alive. And I prefer the book more. So it's kind of, the consumer, I guess, is going to decide.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of it. It's the one thing I think when you're our age that, was probably really the really first big thing, like movie, and when the ship's coming in and you see it and you're like, oh my God, like as a kid, that just really kind of blew my mind. And then, like you said, G.I. Joe, I watch G.I. Joe. I watch G.I. Joe right now on the YouTube, the Hasbro YouTube channel where it runs at 24 hours a day. I watch it right now. But yeah, no, I loved all those things. And Star Wars, I feel lucky that we grew up during that time because I still have a bunch of those toys. Nice. There's a Millennium Falcon in this closet over here, the original one. So yeah, those toys were always cool. Now, all right, so question 7. And I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it. Hallmark.
Yes. We talked about the Hallmark. I thought that we had an understanding that I was to be included. I never got a call. I got nothing that we were doing this on Spinetix. I would have come on for that for sure. I just said a minute ago, I would have made time to come on for the Hallmark discussion. And I thought we were starting a channel. Like, I don't want this right. to be a Spinetix thing. I want a Hallmark channel. So talk to me about Hallmark.
Yeah, the channel still exists. The Instagram page still exists. And I think what you saw on Spinetix was a soft launch, right? Because, my buddy Phil, Comics Talk Weekly,
yep.
He and I, he being an older gentleman with the sport coat, that fits my image of what I want to do with the Hallmark channel. But because we're so busy with Spinetix, I was like, man, it's going to be hard to launch this. Let me make a segment on Spinetix and see how it goes. Now, I love my other guys, right? The party guys. But, I was like, okay, tonight we're going to be talking about Hallmark. And try not to bash it too much because, I actually have Hallmark actors and actresses who actually like the posts. And then, they watch and they're like, man, this is terrible, man. Can you believe that? This and that. And and by that time, we're like 8 beers deep. So the Hallmark, it went out of control. Now, our next assignment is You Had Me at Aloha. That's the next movie we're going to be talking about. But I think eventually I would like to go back to the idea of having it on its own dedicated channel, kind of more polished, more serious, not serious, nice backgrounds. I even brought up, this is one I haven't watched yet, but you got In the Vineyard. I own about 8 Hallmark DVDs because, I don't want to just stream it. I want to, I'm a collector, man.
Right. Yeah. If we're going to talk about it, let's collect it. Right.
Yeah, I don't know how many guys they got LA Raiders hat and like kind of gangster rap vinyl and then Hallmark.
I don't know any, to be honest with you, and I think that's why it's genius. I saw that and I was like, man, he's right. That has such a big audience, and nobody's talking about it. I mean, I even went and looked it up while we were sitting there. I was like, I went and looked, and there was no channels, and I was like, okay, I want in, and I don't even like Hallmark movies, but I will watch every one of them. And I've watched plenty of them, over the years with the wife, and my mom loves them. And I thought this would be perfect.
Yeah.
What you did was not what I had in mind, but if it's a soft launch, fine, I get it, whatever, but I expect a phone call next time. Just for that segment, I will do the homework. I will watch the movie. I'll even go buy it. I'll do whatever I need to do, but I want to come on and talk about Hallmark. And if I have to bring bourbon, I'll bring bourbon too. That's fine. I wasn't joking. Bring me in. Sith, welcome me in.
Well, let me ask you this. It might be midnight your time on Saturday when we talk about You Had Me at Aloha.
I will find that movie and watch it, and that would probably be perfect because everybody else will be asleep, and I can sit down and talk about it. I might be half asleep myself. I'm old, but I will come on and talk. So You Had Me at Aloha.
Yeah, in fact, I've already watched it, but the rumor is there might be a screening party for it before the show.
I got you. All right, You Had Me at Aloha. I will definitely check that out. So,
all right,
for everybody that's watching this Thursday, drops at 7 a.m. Saturday night, about midnight Eastern time, we're going to do a Hallmark session. You had me at Aloha.
There you go. A
Yes.
wonderful romance and a wonderful getaway paradise known as Hawaii.
It should be a good day for me because Kentucky's home opener football is Saturday. It's a noon game. I'll probably get home about 9 o'clock that night, and I'll be ready to go. So,
all right, man. I'm excited.
All right, now, question 8. And I know you mentioned earlier you were in the music business for a while, and I just wanted to talk again about that as far as like kind of what you did in the music business. Kind of explain to my audience what you were doing.
Yeah, I was on both sides of it, right? I was in the music business, and I was also a musician. And each one had kind of different levels of success. If you look at the music career, I think the pinnacle was that I got some songwriting credits on a major label release, right? So that was nice. I was in the bands, but I left the band, and the band went on further, got a record deal, and so on their album, your boy Sith's got some songwriting credits. On the music business side, my whole job was in artist management, right? There's a adult contemporary piano player named Jim Brickman, which all the wives, the grandmothers, the church ladies love this guy. And he was like the most charted adult contemporary solo pianist out there. Talking about easy listening stuff. But over the course of his career in the 90s, I worked most of his singles to radio, meaning like, if there's a station in Louisville or, wherever, I'm calling up the radio station promoting, and I got 4 gold records out of it. So, that's kind of fun that, it's not my album, but my name is on there as, sales and artist management. Kind of the pinnacle there is that there's a country singer named Martina McBride you might have heard of.
Sure.
And there's a song called Valentine that she sang that Jim Brickman wrote. And I worked that song along with other people. We all collectively worked that to number 3 on the Billboard adult contemporary chart. So that was kind of like the pinnacle for, success, plus putting on concerts around the world and, doing television productions and stuff. Olivia Newton-John, various adult stars, if you will.
That's cool. So when you say you worked it, like, what do you mean by that?
So let's say there's going to be a new single that's going to be released. There's a new album, and the leadoff single is this, right? Like there's a country star named Colin Ray singing a song called "The Gift" with Jim Brickman around Christmas time. So we get ready that the single is going to drop, December 1st or whatever it might be. All the marketing is in place. The label dollars are in place. Me and other key people are ready. We've hired independent radio promoters, and we're all going to be calling radio stations across the country and say, look, this Jim Brickman single, The Gift, is going to be releasing on this day. Can we count on you to add the record? Meaning they're going to start playing it, because what happens is radio stations that report to Billboard, all of their data forms that chart, right? The adult contemporary chart, the heavy metal chart, whatever it might be. So you want to coordinate a release and spins on radio station. And then over the life of that single, whether it's on the chart for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we're checking in. How you doing? You need anything? How's the record working for you? You getting good feedback? Do you need some CDs to give away? Jim Brickman's going to be in town. You want some concert tickets? Stuff like that.
Cool. That's interesting. So why did you leave it? I mean, as far as like, why did you get out of the music business?
I got out of it because, believe it or not, the whole download thing really changed the music business. I got into it about 1995. I started at the Capitol Records building, that famous tower you see in Hollywood. I started working there, and I went from there into artist management, and it was a great run for about 5-6 years. But once Napster and stuff like that kind of changed the way the traditional music business operates, things started to dry up. The artists that we managed ended up going to a major record label instead of the smaller label he was on, and they had their own people that wanted to do things a certain way. So it just seemed like the right time to kind of, make a move and kind of change my career.
Cool. Yeah, no, I would think, most people, because I like music too. And you think, oh yeah, I'd love to be in the music business. And to me, it sounds like it's any other job. It's a hustle. There's a lot of work that gets done to get these, albums or these songs, played at radio stations. And do you know now, like with the way things are, because I know there's a rock station I listen to out of Louisville pretty much every day, and it's the same like 250 songs, on rotation.
Yeah, I mean, you got the corporate playlist, even back then there was like kind of a corporate playlist, like some stations wouldn't play a record until they see another equivalent city, like playing. And you never get LA or New York or Chicago out of the gate. You start with kind of the smaller places. Let's hit up Wisconsin, let's hit up, Kentucky, Florida. So yeah, it's definitely more corporate now. I retired from the business, but I stayed close with various music folks. There's a classic rock band called Ambrosia. I'm sure you know some of their songs, How Much I Feel You. And their drummer is like, he's my personal drummer. We've actually done a thing called Comics with Rockers where I have him review comics with me and we review them for the writer that I have come on Spinetix. So like when Ambrosia was on tour, I rolled up my sleeves and helped them out with some promotion, calling radio stations, doing stuff, but more as like kind of a friend volunteer than, getting back into music business. I knew that I was probably not going to be able to feed my family or have a retirement plan or longevity based on the way the music business had changed.
No, cool. No, I find that interesting. And so I know when we were on In the Hot Seat, you were breaking out this gangster rap vinyl like Eazy-E and NWA and all that. So if I had to ask Sith, who are your top 5 bands of all time? Like, and it doesn't have to be like rock or country. I mean, just whatever, who would you say your top 5 acts are?
I would have to say, and a lot of it, your tastes change over time.
Sure.
Right? I would have to say the Beatles. I would have to say the Doors. I would have to say Depeche Mode.
Nice.
I would have to say the Cars. And I mean, gosh, like I'm leaving out Nirvana, right? I'm leaving. I mean, like there's so many. I mean, I haven't even said Eazy-E. Who? I mean, I love Eazy-E, but what I really loved about Eazy-E was his business side too.
Sure.
I think you and I are a lot the same where we hustle. I mean, we work. Yeah, I see how hard you're working for this channel, and you see what I'm doing at Spinetix, and it's what I did in the music business. Is I believe you will get out what you put in, and
absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, there's those are bands that come to mind. There's so many more that I love, but definitely those bands have stayed with me all my life.
Well, those are all solid choices. I mean,
Thanks.
as far as when you go, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Beatles. I love Depeche Mode.
Nice.
And my music tastes are really eclectic too. Like it goes as much as I like country music. I like gangster rap. I like, rock. My favorite band's Metallica. I told you my dog would bark.
There you go.
It never fails. I love gangster rap. I love all of it, man. There's just not a music genre that I really don't dig. Like, did you see this story the other day? I don't know. I just saw this, that the kid on the Nirvana, the Nevermind album, I think, was suing Nirvana.
Right.
Because the parents didn't give consent for that. I thought, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. It's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's like we're in such a litigious country that
absolutely,
like some judge is going to grant that. And then somebody had put out a variant cover of that poster minus the questionable codpiece there. Right. So I thought that's probably the safe choice. What's funny is I owned that poster about Subway size. And it was in my music room. So like I can go back and look at like old photos of like my man cave, my music man cave. And, that poster was up there. But yeah, man, it's funny. And speaking of music stuff, so I'm always trying to come up with these wild ideas for Spinetix. This past Saturday, I had a segment called Soviet USSR new wave music, where I found like I guess would be the equivalent of like a Depeche Mode or somebody it was a female singer in the Soviet USSR, but her music from the 80s all in Russian, and I played that for the boys on Spinetix because by then we're all liquored up and it's kind of like a watch party. So yeah, there's no music I won't listen to either.
Yeah, no, I love it all. And, it is like I'm getting ready to go to a show here in 3 weeks. It's a 4-day festival called Louder Than Life. And
wow,
Metallica is actually headlining 2 nights. That's why I'm going. And, I'm getting older. They're getting older. I don't know that I'm going to get to see them again, so I want to make sure I get out there. And who else is there? There's a bunch, Judas Priest, Snoop Dogg.
Wow.
9 Inch Nails was going to be there, but they backed out because of COVID. So Disturbed took their place. Korn, Stained. Like it's a loaded up line. Fozzy, the guy, Chris Jericho, the wrestler, his band, they're going to be there. So it's going to be loaded up. I can't wait to go.
Man, I mean, like you just mentioned Nine Inch Nails and Disturbed. For probably a year and a half, all I listened to is Nine Inch Nails, Disturbed, and Tool. You know, like
Oh, love Tool.
yeah, I mean, like, you go through phases, and actually, because of I've kind of retired from bands, but electronic music is a lot easier to make. Nine Inch Nails has been a big influence, along with Depeche Mode, for being
Sure.
able to do electronic music.
No, that's cool. Yeah, no, it's I was really disappointed because I wanted to see Nine Inch Nails. I never got a chance to see them. Like I saw Nirvana, back in college at Rupp Arena. It's one of the wildest shows I've ever been to. Um, but Nine Inch Nails was one of the bands I really, really wanted to see. Oh, Jane's Addiction's going to be there. Like it's going to be a good
Wow.
show. Like I'm really looking forward to it. But
I saw
it's
both those bands together actually about three
really
years ago. Yeah,
that's
Jane's
awesome.
and Nine Inch Nails together.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, so question 9. And this one, I want to get because I know you collect other things other than comics, and you had mentioned the trading cards. And I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you specifically about the whole trading card game because I'm in that too. And there may be a lot of people watching this that aren't. But there's this phenomenon in the card business called card breaks.
Yes.
And I think it really revolutionized the trading card business. And it's essentially where you can pay for a team. Like if I like the Cincinnati Reds. So I might buy the Reds. And so any card that gets pulled out of this case that they break, I get the Reds cards. And then sometimes you get lucky. Do you do any of the breaks?
I don't, because like I've seen where they do pack breaks similar, and you just don't even get a red that shows up.
Yeah.
I've always kind of been the guy where if I want the card, I buy the card. It is fun to like the mystery of it. It's like a mystery box. Every card pack is like a mystery
It's like a
box,
mystery box. Yeah.
and it's certainly fun to watch. I will say, like, what cards have been crazy lately. You try and go to Target or Walmart. I mean, at the height of it, I was over at Target, and there were like it was a 2 hour queue. They were like, okay, leave your number, and we'll call you. We'll text you when it's your turn. I went home and kicked it with Lady Sith, and then went back. And there was a guy that I met, and he told me he was doing these card breaks. Like that's what he was doing. He was buying the product there, limit 2 boxes, and then he'd go on Instagram and do this, and people were buying in on it. So I don't do that, but what I do like to do is, and I don't participate, but I like to watch these guys who buy 1990s baseball card
Oh,
boxes or
yeah.
basketball, and they'll have a pack, somebody will buy a pack, and they open the pack, and you see what they get. One of the, I guess, tragic stories, but kind of funny, was somebody had paid $400 for a box of like 1990s basketball cards, and they were so, I guess, weather damaged that the cards were bricked.
Oh,
But
yeah. Stuck together. That's the
yeah,
worst.
but no one knew because it's in a box, and so as the guy is going to open this, all the cards are bricked, and he doesn't know what to do. Right? He's on YouTube with everybody's money paying for this, so everyone's like, do this, try this, do that, put it in the microwave, go to the shower, turn on the steam. And so like it was zany, man. This guy was trying every method that people were suggesting. He actually put it in the microwave, and that kind of helped a little bit for the cards to unbrick.
No, that works. I mean, putting them in the microwave, and there's a certain way that you can crack the cards if you hold them. Because I've had
Yeah.
that happen when I got some of my old cards out that were in boxes, but they were a little bit weathered, and the whatever they printed them with, they would stick together.
Yeah.
And there is a way you put them in the microwave, it loosens it up a little bit, but there's a certain way you can crack it, and then they'll come right apart.
Kind of shimmy it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, but no, I did it for a little while, but it was too much like gambling for me. And I don't mind gambling. It's just that I'm like you. If I want something, I just go buy it most of the time.
Right.
It's even the thing with mystery boxes. Like I still love to open mystery boxes, and it's good content for my channel. But at the end of the day, really, if I want something, I'm probably just going to go pick it up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've never done a comic book raffle. I've never done anything like that. I enjoy that other people like to do it. That's cool. However you want to collect, it's just not for me. Like you said, man, I work hard. I got the money. I just want to buy what I want to buy. Now, that being said, I got off to the side. You can't see it. Well, maybe on the very edge, you can see a stack of cards up there. I got a whole box of like
Mhm.
1990s hockey. And I'm wondering, once I decide to crack open those packs, are the cards going to be bricked or not? If I turn here, you can see those boxes
Yeah, I
back
see
there,
them. Yeah.
and you see behind me, all of those are cards as well.
No, I love the cards. Like this closet that's over to my left is full. I mean, like I went and found every card, because I kept all that stuff.
Nice.
And, I kept every bit of it. And then I got some of the stuff that my uncle had, he gave to me when he passed away. And, the stuff he had recollected, he had a fire and lost a lot of stuff. But, he gave me some stuff. So, no, I still have it all. I still enjoy, man, going through. But there's a little bit of OCD in me where I enjoy, like, putting the sets together and separating the cards out and, numbering them and putting them in. I don't know. I'm weird, but I think that's fun.
Well, on SpineTix, I actually had a sports card stream for a while. So there's, how like I have the Hallmark segment or the Terror Ticks. I had something called PSA Tendencies because, like in grading, a PSA 10 is what you want. So I called it PSA Tendencies, and I had guys that would just hop on the show and we would all go around the table opening packs and stuff. It was pretty fun. And back there, you could see my man, Michael Jordan. I heard from you that you really like him as well. So
I love Jordan. Yeah. He was the guy
right
in my day. I kind of came up when it was the end of Bird and Magic and Dr. J, like that kind of that era is when I was coming up. But then MJ and that Bulls, team, that run that they made, that was my team. Like I loved Jordan. And have a bunch of his cards out to be graded right now.
Wow.
Hopefully I'll get them back someday. But yeah, no, it's there is something about, the trading card game I really dig. Like I said, I had to really kind of hone it down because I'm the type I could buy everything. Like I legit could collect everything. So I had to hone it down to just Kentucky people, just Kentucky guys. And so I can collect that way. I like collecting the autographs, like the autograph cards and the patch cards.
Yeah, those relics are really nice, man. The game worn stuff. Yeah.
I really dig those. And even the baseball cards, you get pieces of the bat. NASCAR cards, you can get they'll have pieces of the tire or even the metal. Like it's crazy.
Oh, man. Here's an exhaust pipe.
Yeah, it's a piece of the exhaust pipe. Like I'm pretty sure there's a card out there that has that in it. So,
wow.
All right, man. Question 10. And this is an easy one, but just more kind of as far as, do you have any grails you're chasing right now? Is there anything you're trying to chase down? Whether it be a toy or a comic book or a statue, anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of rebalancing the comic book portfolio. You see, I got some grails behind me, right? Yep. And I mean, there's always grails to chase. I'm trying to go 50-50 with cards and comics. And right now I'm about 90% comics. So I would say my grails right now, and this changes month to month, but center around baseball cards. There's a player named Mike Trout. You might have heard of him.
I've heard of him.
Some will say the greatest player since Mickey Mantle. Some will say the greatest player ever. But, kind of like you decided to focus on Kentucky players, when it comes to graded cards, I'm really trying to focus on Mike Trout because you can go broke otherwise. And you can go broke chasing him.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, I figure if I reduce the comic pile by like 50%, I could get some of those Mike Trout grails. And we're talking like rookie cards, prospect cards. I already have a fair amount. But I would say yes. If we were talking comic books, though, I would have to say some of the Silver Age books, some of the Bronze Age books. I mean, X-Men 1, Fantastic Four, 4, would be great. Or is it 4, 5? Which is first Doom? Yeah. Those to me, because I love X-Men, and like I'm kind of a villain guy. I love Magneto and Doom are like some of my favorites. So, and Green Goblin. So on the comic front, I would say those would be next too.
That's cool. Yeah. So on the card front, really, like I like that, as far as the Mike Trout, because the Mike Trout Super Refractor is probably one of the top card sale of all time. I mean, or something stupid like that.
Several million bucks. Yeah, man. And it's like, there was a card I was watching the other night. It was like $50,000. And I look at Lady Sith. I'm like, so should I do a buy it now and maybe go sell some of my stocks? Right. Like, except the Trout doesn't pay dividends. The stocks do.
That's right. No, well, last week I was talking with Comic Book Investments, and, we were kind of chatting about that. There are a lot of people now who are really looking at those things as actual investments.
Yeah. I mean, and what I like about the cards is they take a lot less space than, 5 long boxes of comics. So I'm trying to get down the comics to what I really love, that I want to have hard copies of, because we can all read digital, right?
Sure.
And so kind of really scale back, because I'm also collecting toys and statues and hot toys. And I mean, I'm just, the man cave is full up here, man. we're full. I need to offload some of this stuff. But yeah, cards. I'm really excited about cards right now, but I'm trying not to flood my Instagram with too many cards because I know they're mostly comic book people. So I have a
Sure.
separate Instagram just for cards, so I don't bug
Cool.
people who are not into it. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that one? I wouldn't care to check that out. I like to follow that.
Yeah, it's called PSA Tendencies,
Oh,
like the
PSA
number.
tendencies. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so PSA 10 and then Dencies. And then
Yeah.
I have, this is funny, but I have a super secret sports cards Instagram too that nobody is following, just so I can post all of my cards like OCD, like one after another, and not overflow anybody. And it's just like commons and other things. Because, like we're all busy, right? And,
Sure.
I'm sure you're like me, where we try and give love back to everybody who supports us. But when you're scrolling through your Instagram and you already know it's going to take an hour, and then one person posts like 50 things, it's kind of like, oh man, like I got so much to go through. So that's what I have a super secret Instagram for, to just do and some of it's for insurance purposes too, right? Because it shows
Sure.
proof of ownership. So
Absolutely.
I have a whole separate collectibles insurance policy, and it all ties in with that.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. I said that is. What about vinyl? Do you collect a lot of vinyl?
A little bit, like hip hop, the gangster rap vinyl. That's what because it's kind of a lifestyle, right? Like, I heard you and Nick talking about some of the Jordan sneakers, so I have a few pairs of Jordan sneakers, and I have, maybe about 12 vinyl records, which I also have CDs for. I even have one cassette, right? I was going back to getting those as well. But I'm trying to limit the vinyl to Duran Duran records or West Coast hip hop.
I like it. No, my youngest daughter and I, that's one of those things that I think she is into vinyl. And she listens to music. Like, we'll be in the car and she'll play a song. And I'm like, how do you know that song? Like the other day, she played Beth by Kiss. And I'm like, how do you know that? And she was like, TikTok. And so, but anyway, she's really into the vinyl music. So we've been going to some antique stores and
Nice.
picking up old vinyl together, and because we both like music, so that's again something, a way to kind of connect with her, through the collecting hobby. No matter what it is, whether it be comic books or vinyl or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's a lot of it, or at least for me anyway. A lot of the hobbies is nostalgia and the relationships I've built over the years. That's really the best part of it.
I wish somebody would have told us about the vinyl, because I'm sure you're like me. I sold the vinyl to buy cassettes. I sold the cassettes to buy CDs, and now I'm buying vinyl again. So
Buy vinyl again. Like, I could have just held on to what I had. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it is, man. Well, Sith, that's the 10 questions. And I really appreciate you coming on. I've had an absolute ball talking to you, and I really appreciate it. Tell everybody where they can find you guys, Spinetics, just kind of give us the pitch of where you're at.
Yeah, on YouTube, if you go check out Spinetics, I got a live show every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific. Great group of guys. I also do pre-recorded haul videos and things like that throughout the week. So that's YouTube. On Instagram, just find me at SithLordly. That's the best place. I have a Spinetics Instagram page, but really that's just to tag the show. If you want to interact with me, SithLordly is where it's at on Instagram.
Cool. Guys, I'll post all that stuff too down in the description below so that you'll have an easy place to go find him. Absolutely check out the Hangout on Saturday, Spinetics. That whole crew is cool, and it's a lot of fun just to kind of sit and watch these guys carry on. It's a good time. One of the most interesting people I found on YouTube, and I'm surely glad that we met up, man. And I mean that sincerely. You're a cool cat. And I hope to meet you someday. So,
bro, I can't thank you enough for this invite. I really appreciate it. You're my Kentucky brother. You already have,
absolutely.
I already have a built-in affection for you for that, and it's been a blast. I can't wait to do this Hallmark thing with you. So, look for me to hit you up for Saturday and its own channel later.
You had me at Aloha, people. Remember that. Go ahead and watch it. Get ready for Saturday night. We'll all jump over on Spinetics and have some fun. So, all right, guys, that is it. A couple of reminders on the road to 1,000 subscriber giveaway. There will be a playlist down in the description below where you can find out how to get entered into that. We're going to do a massive, massive giveaway. I think we've got maybe 25 to 30 prizes that we're going to give away that range from comic books, Funko Pops. I mean, you name it, we're giving it away that night. Slabs, whatever you can think of, it'll be given away. I think we're 55 subs away, something like that now. Also, I always like to mention the discount code I've got with Street Level Hero LA. That's STC10. You'll get 10% off your order, but most importantly, 25% of your overall order will be donated to the American Cancer Society for cancer research. SithLordly, guys, Spine Ticks, go check him out. You will not regret it. This has been 10 Questions.